No, right. I've called it Chicken Pot Stream because I couldn't think of anything better.
Yeah,
Oh, well, there we go. I've started it anyway. I didn't even realise while I was discussing the title. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to another stream. A few in a couple of days. A few days. I hope you're happy.
What the fuck are you
about? Andy's with me, obviously.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Andy. We're a little bit worse for wear. Not that drunk, but we've had a very long weekend. So we might come across a little bit lethargic this evening. So do bear with us.
Yeah, we're tired.
Yeah, we had a long day yesterday. We must have walked between 10 and 15 kilometres yesterday. So we've had a good time, but a very strenuous time. But we thought, as it's Andy's last night, we would do a little stream and have a little bit of a chat. There's even been some new material in regards to the lawn stuff that we can have a talk about.
Why did you decide to call it Chicken Pox?
Not Chicken Pox.
What's it say?
Chicken Pot Stream.
Well, what's the idea?
Well, we were pretty drunk when we listened to it, because we listened to it when we got in last night, but I listened to it again this afternoon. Was the most recent call where, once again, Mama Gwen's Chicken Pot Pie
that's right.
has been one of the main topics of the recent lawn material that we've listened to. It was also mentioned again in the most recent call. Hi everyone coming in, by the way. Apologies if we haven't said hello. But yeah, it was also mentioned, like even at the end of the last call, Paul says to Lorne, "Tell your mum to stick a vagina in her chicken pot pie," or something like that. New right, guys. I saw a lot of people commented on the last stream we did as well, saying new material. Now that I didn't want to give the channel name the last time because I don't want to get them in any trouble.
Either, I don't know. We don't.
I don't really. You can find it. I don't think they would mind, but yeah, you can find these calls. A channel. In fact, it was commented. The channel commented on the last stream.
Yeah, listen, anybody that's invested in the TCAP community, you can go on the TCAP forums. What's it called, the forums?
Temple of TCAP.
Temple of TCAP, yeah.
If you go on Temple of TCAP, you'll find the links there if you want to find the things. It's not that we just don't want to send people there that might have bad motives or anything. For all our misgivings about the morality of that sort of thing, it has provided us with new good entertainment, and as stated by it is what it is. The channel, it is all just being done to see how far Lorne's gullibility can reach, which at this point is.
But we know that's got limitless boundaries. There's no end to the gullibility.
Well, I know we talked about this in the last stream, but it is ridiculous to think he now thinks he is really dating the decoy from the Sting.
That does take some. That's pretty good. That's pretty funny. I mean, it's like we rehashing old ground. You've got to, regardless of what you think about it.
It's got to be something.
You've got a sense of humour, haven't you, about it? And it is fucking funny. I mean,
it's like I said before. At least there's some ingenuity about it. It's not just the same sort of thing over and over again. At least it's kind of. Of course, we've only heard one side of these calls from the father of the woman in question speaking to Lorne. Who is also a homosexual, has been making Lorne feel quite uncomfortable in the last couple of calls.
That's right, yeah, I remember now, yeah, fucking hell.
So
that was pretty weird. But there was something else I wanted to sort of touch upon, really, no pun intended, was we don't need to go into detail about who it was that left the comment, but someone said, what would have happened if Kayla was real? Would it change your perspective on Lorne?
Oh, you mean, yeah, somewhat. Well, that is a hypothetical question. And as I said yesterday, I don't answer hypothetical questions. Being asked hypothetical questions leads to fights. No, it's
the point was we were kind of
Well, in seriousness, the difficulty is, what if Lorne had really done that to Kayla? There's only two possible outcomes for that. One, he would still be out there doing things to children and we would have never heard of him. Or two, he would have been in jail for a lot longer time. So that question is moot. You can't ask that question.
No, and you can't answer it because Kayla's an unreal, an imaginary person, so it's kind of a bizarre... It's a ridiculous question, really, because it's a bit like saying, well, if Santa Claus was real, you know, if Kayla was real, well, Kayla was never real.
Well, if Santa was real, he'd probably be branded a pedo. I mean, sneaking down chimneys, creeping into kids' bedrooms.
Whether asleep, and leaving them toys to curry the favour, and I love it.
Yeah, exactly, so...
So it's quite appealing.
Well, grow a beard.
Well, yeah, we're halfway there, aren't we?
We're not growing some kind of joint beard together. What does that mean?
It means we've both got
We've both got half a beard.
Yeah,
so let's put the hair together and see if we
I thought that was the purpose.
Well, like weird science, except instead of making a hot lady, we use our genes to make some kind of Santa Claus.
I've never really considered that as a proper
movie. Do you think it's a bit far-fetched, that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Like... Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. But the idea was, it's kind of... I had the idea of, like, going over the seriousness of Lorne's... Not necessarily the seriousness of the crime, of what he did and what he's all famous for, but the actual context of it. Because there was never... Part of the reason why Lorne can't really wrap his head around what he did is because there was never a real person there. What Lorne doesn't have the ability to do is realise that he's an unwell person. He's not somebody that's balanced. He's somebody that needs help. He's somebody that is... I don't mean this to sound unkind or cruel, but he's sick. Really? Is that not an unfair thing to say?
Well, the thing is, he hasn't actually displayed that much sickness since being released from prison, to be honest. Lorne, as we've stated...
his YouTube channel alone says that's...
Well, yeah, but as we've stated...
I know what you mean, from the perspective of predatory behaviour.
It doesn't make him any better of a person, but he was an opportunist rather than a career predator.
There's also the argument of it's how it could have started. That's how you start on that track, isn't it?
Then to come back to that kind of hypothetical question that was answered, what if Kayla was real? Well, the answer to that is horrible. Lorne probably would have fucked her and got a taste for children and gone on to fuck many more children. So it doesn't even bear thinking about, really, does it?
Yeah, but my, not argument, but another perspective is that Lorne would have never got to the position he would have if he'd have been talking to a real girl, because most real girls
wouldn't have been interested in that.
Yeah, but it's not just that though, but because it was a decoy who wanted to hear everything he had to say for only the purpose of getting him stitched up, he was able to say anything that he wanted to. So his old twisted fantasy was able to come to fruition with regard if it had been a real person. He would have been shot down at the first opportunity. He wouldn't have been able to go that way because he would have been dealing with a real person. But really, all that happened, he was talking to himself.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And displaying his own twisted fantasies to himself. And it's kind of an unprecedented situation, really, because he got... What was it? His crime was... If you look at the reality of the crime, what was the crime? Attempted child solicitation. But there was no child there.
Well...
But...
to him there was.
To him there was, and that's the idea behind it. The idea is that if you're a person who tries to do that, you need to be dealt with, of course, because there needs to be a deterrent to stop other people from doing that. So in other words, there's laws, you can't do it. But if you look at it from his world and his perspective, there was never a person there. He was taken advantage of, in his eyes. So he can't grasp why... Because he can't see himself as being unwell, he can't grasp what he did was wrong.
No, but it still doesn't excuse him. But that, again, I think it's a lack of intelligence. The fact that he does have such low intelligence and keeps coming back for more is the reason we've got so much entertainment out of him.
But that's what creates the comedy, isn't
Yeah.
it? The fact that he's so Brent-esque in his...
Lorne, if we were living in the early 1800s, Lorne would have been the village idiot, wouldn't he?
Yeah, someone just put Shins Koala. Is that what that says?
Shins Koala.
Yeah.
You know,
as
like
soon
a
as
little
she
koala.
said yes to looking at his webcam, Lorne's fantasy world begins, and that's
Yeah.
spot on. It's like at that point he's getting gratification. So.
Well, that shows a high level of narcissism as well.
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
it?
but we know that we've already said that that's a trait of his because he's never developed.
But he's like, well, the moment she's seen me, now I can get dirty because she definitely won't turn me away once she's seen me, even though he's...
Yeah, and there's also like he got off on the idea that she was looking at him. That's why he always paraded around naked. That was a really weird aspect
That was an
to
odd
it.
thing.
Something
Well, we've
that hasn't
discussed
really
that
been...
previously, and there are people out there that are naturists that just
That's
prefer
true,
being
yeah.
comfortable naked.
But usually that's someone that you would know very well. Can't quite get my head around it myself, but there's couples that parade around naked all the time, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which is, if people want to do
This
that...
right, bit off track. This reminds me, though, like many years ago I was in Ibiza, and in the morning after a rather heavy session, me and my friend were like just trying to chill out. So we went and sat on a secluded beach. We decided to build a sandcastle. I mean, we were in our early 20s at the time. And this Ibizan couple walked past, completely stark bollocks naked, started laughing at us. Like, English! They're building a sandcastle. How sad!
Brilliant.
Like, but you're naked! How are we the weird ones?
Brilliant. It's all about perspective, though, isn't it? They view you as weird. What's it say? You bought a bed. Did you bring the one-night stand to an apartment with no bed? Well, this is open to debate as well. Slightly different than what we were talking about. Is Lorne's sort of experience with women? It's open to debate, isn't it? Because we've said, like, if you look at the evidence, I don't think he's been laid in, like, maybe 15, 20 years.
Well, it's questionable if he's ever really lost his virginity.
I personally think
he probably has at some point.
But I don't think he's ever had proper, meaningful sex. Like, I don't think he's ever had...
I don't even think he's had a proper one-night stand, let alone meaningful sex. I think if he ever had a one-night stand, he's the kind of guy that would end up stalking that person. He's very needy.
But isn't that a case of all these fuckers, all these predators? They're all of them have got one trait that we can all agree on, which are obviously, apart from being fucking attracted to children, is that they've all got this bizarre narcissism with regard to, I don't like using that word because people have their own interpretations of it, but that need for attention, and no matter where it comes from, they've got to feel important, and that's a really big part of why you would be attracted to somebody that young, because surely the lure of it, sounds like I'm fucking speaking from experience, doesn't it?
Wow.
The lure of it would be like, well, these people are fixated on you because you're older than them, so you've got that power over them. It's all about power, isn't it? Really? No, it is for these people.
I don't think with Lorne it was about power, though.
No,
Lorne wanted a long, loving relationship, but with a child. If it wasn't with a child...
he wanted that power over her, though.
Yeah.
Because all the things he had to order her around.
Thought he could shape her into what he wanted and mould her because she's young. And that's the reason people shouldn't want kids, because they don't have
isn't that how you behave when you're
own.
younger, though? If you remember you getting your first girlfriend, you was very so naive as to how relationships were and how to treat other people that you didn't necessarily behave evil, but you thought things then that you think about now and you think, that's fucking not right. evil, but you think, fucking hell, why would I ever?
Why would I
think
have done that? That wouldn't have saved the relationship.
Yeah, exactly. It's, you know what I mean? It's just another case of being so naive and childlike and never growing up. And there's going to be a part of you that. This is the thing about it. Don't feel sorry for Lorne because he's always got the opportunity to do better, but have empathy for somebody so fucking stupid that they can't see the plain and obvious that's to the rest of us.
But in a way, and I said this, I think it was on a video we did on your channel a long, long time ago. Hear me out, because the first sentence I'll say, you might say, what the fuck? But in a way...
What the fuck?
I haven't even said it.
What the fuck?
In a way, I'm sometimes envious of the Brentness, David Brentness of Lorne, and people like that. They live in this world where they really believe you or
They're
I...
the centre of that world.
Yeah, and they'll never see outside of it. Now, in a way, and this is kind of very deep, but in a way, there's almost a beauty because you only perceive yourself in the way that you see yourself. You don't have enough
the problem with that
self-awareness.
is that illusion can be broken at any minute, and when that illusion does get broken, it means total catastrophe. That's the problem with that. Because it's kind of like saying ignorance is bliss, but ignorance isn't bliss, because the problem with being ignorant is that you're not wise, you don't see things for where they are, and your whole world can be blown apart at any moment. But I think what you're saying is to exist in that world where nothing bothers you and you are great and nothing that anybody ever says is wrong. Of course, it's kind of, you're living in a bubble where you can't ever be hurt.
You or I, we discussed this on the last stream very briefly, but if someone who was even a minor celebrity sent you a Facebook message or a whatever message and said, oh, I'm into you, you would want proper proof or to meet them in person before you started believing you were in a relationship with them. And that is what Lorne is believing.
No, but he thinks he's seen proof, though. It's not difficult to manipulate him. I'm not saying that the people behind the scamming are stupid, because there is an intelligence behind it. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to have the IQ of Stephen Hawking to fool Lorne.
No.
But it has, if you can do it in a way that he's not, I think you'd know what is required to fool him. And if you did it in a way that was manipulative, which wouldn't be difficult with him, you could get away with it. Yeah, it's kind of
But the thing is, like, that's how naive he still is. I mean, surely he's been on the internet enough to know. What do you think Lorne goes on the internet and searches when he's just, not just looking for sexual things? What do you think he just looks at, like, Alan Jackson songs, Heartland?
You mean, does he, like, Google his own name?
The thing is, because we've always had as much access as the internet as we want, so I fall down rabbit holes. Now, it might almost be weird of me to say, but because I know so much about scams, and especially the 419 Nigerian scammers, who will happily Photoshop anything to try and convince you that something's going on, that unless you see video evidence, and even if it's a video, you still have to be suspicious that it's not a clip recording.
But I think Lorne does have the intelligence to see this stuff, but I think the overriding factor is he's that desperate for love and attention that he's willing to pretty much discount anything because he can see the happiness on the other side. Not happiness, but he can see the gratification on the other side. So in other words, he can see this pot of gold. He knows he shouldn't get it, but he's got to grab it. And it's like, he doesn't really... Do you get what I mean? Do you get where I'm coming from? He's that desperate for that validation that he's willing to kind of override his own intuition.
Yeah.
And that's the way a lot of people...
But I said that on the last stream, that I think some part of him, deep down in his subconscious, must be aware.
He does. He knew when that Ramona shit was going on that he knew deep down it was bullshit, because he'd often come to the point where he'd actually say, and he'd tell her,
he's just doing it for company. And
yeah,
that's what's quite interesting about these new calls trying to go in a bit of a homosexual direction. So have to be careful I didn't say homosexual erection there.
Well, you've had plenty of them.
Have I? Well, not that I've known of. How many nights have you been here? But it's been quite interesting, like how upset he got because these calls, the way they've been released, the new ones. So we haven't really had them. We've had to kind of draw an order in our head of what has happened, and now Lorne knows that a man has masturbated to his pictures. His pictures, which sounded
that sent him on a massive rage, didn't it? To the
Yeah.
likes of which.
But that was in
never...
a previous call. We've only heard the call leading up to. We assume leading up to that recently.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff we've
But
not heard.
the pictures they talk about. Let's talk about this. Pretty fucked up, but this is weird, right? Like, what in one of them he's pissing sideways outside. He's taking a photo of himself. In another one, and I'm not sure whether this was just Paul messing around, but he says that he has his erect penis tucked behind his legs with his testicles.
Oh yeah, that was
which is
weird.
not scientifically possible. Unless you've got a broken penis.
I don't want to think about it.
Right, let's try it now.
All right, hang on. Hang on a minute. You just pause the stream. No, it's fucking. It's just fucking. It's pretty funny though. I must admit, but I don't know. It's just fucking.
They're good, interesting new calls, but yeah. Once Andy goes home, though, we're not going to talk about too much TCAP stuff. I would
too much.
Well. I'm not. I don't really want to do any more TCAP, but there's a couple of people I wanted to have chats to on this channel before I kind of put the TCAP mantle aside and started to focus on.
There's so much stuff within the Lorne backstory, if you want to put it that way, that endless debate and discussion. It's like I think I've made. I couldn't put a figure on it. 100, maybe 100
million. A million videos about Lorne.
I've probably made about 100 videos just about Lorne, right? Each probably about half an hour long. Some of them repeat a lot of the same shit because it'd be impossible not to. But generally, they kind of approach it from a different light, and people never get bored of listening about it because there's that much contained within it. Just what we're talking about now. And I wanted to touch upon the sort of hypothetical nature of his crime, and because it's an interesting subject, and it's not really
about a lot.
I don't think it's been touched upon.
But it's
that much.
It is all hypothetical. It really depends because if you want to talk about, I mean,
Sorry, can I just interrupt? There might be some listening to this that thinks it's me. Because I've been criticised.
It could come across as being defensive. Yeah. So to say I want to focus on the hypothesis of
because I don't mean it like that. Because some people have said like I've been heavily criticised for being too lenient on Lorne and giving him too much of a chance, if you will. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But I only try and look at it from the truth. I'm not interested. I've got no agenda. But everybody must agree that his crime's hypothetical. Nobody can say with 100% certainty what he would have done if by some ridiculous chance of fate that there had been a real girl there that he could have done something with, which is hypothetical because there was never a real girl there. But let's just say there was. Would he have done something with that person? Nobody can
Absolutely.
say. I believe he would have done. If I had to put money on it, I would say he would have done something.
Oh.
But the point
Look at the way he comes through the door.
No, I'm not.
Hey, girl.
No, I agree with you. But the point is, there is a chance somewhere within the universe that he could have had a spiritual realization of God. Oh my God, what am I doing? It happens. Well. Not to Lorne, but it happens to people that do things like people on death row.
But you answered that question before by saying like Lorne's sexual experiences have been very far and few between,
if
any,
if at all, yeah.
Which is why he ended up going for someone that he thought could shape and be his wife, and there's no.
But it's not like he specifically targeted Kayla, 13 years. He would have talked to any female.
Probably, yeah.
There would have been maybe another 12.
Well, what's a better hypothetical question is if, let's say, a 25-year-old woman had messaged him at the same time.
I know where you're going, and this is a fucking really interesting question. He used to say if he had a choice.
If he'd had a choice, that's the only way. That's the only way we would ever know for sure.
That's a great question.
Whether or not he was just an opportunist or if he was a predator.
Do you know what? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know.
Because I could see how. I suppose it depends how this 25-year-old would have presented herself. Would she have been an outgoing, confident person who had a load in her life? Maybe that would have made Lorne feel insecure. So with the 13-year-old, because he can feel superior to her, he might have gone down that road.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting question, but I mean,
We'll never know. We'll never know. But that's a hypothetical question that can never be answered.
No, and the thing is, Lorne can't ever answer it himself because he's never honest in his responses, is he?
Look, he is a big liar. But he convinces himself that he tells lies, then he convinces himself that they're true. And then he's uses a tactic of often forgetting things he's done or the way he's acted.
Like he believes that the chat log had been edited.
Yeah.
And he still believes that.
Yeah.
He's convinced himself. It started off as a lie for him to justify his actions, and then he's gone on about it that much that he actually believes it's true now. And that's how someone like him gets through life, by making up this bullshit as he goes along.
Yeah, I will send you the link. Sorry, Mark. I meant to send that to you earlier. I forgot, we rushed off. But the new calls have been very interesting. I would say for me personally, and whether it's not because I have how I even fell down this rabbit hole in the first place. Like, would I have ever started looking at things like Chris Chan or Alex Johans if I'd never heard of Lorne? And I don't think I would. I think for me, Lorne was my lolcow, and I milked him.
You loved
I loved every minute of milking him,
pulling his chain repeatedly.
But I wouldn't have fallen down these rabbit holes of looking at these weird people and these weird things. But at the same time, I think the more I've learned about them, especially Chris Chan, made me a bit more sympathetic to Lorne, because it was like, well, Chris Chan has been really fucked over in his life. Like, I think when what's being done to him is funny, then it's brilliant. I have no problem at all with the new material. I think the Ramona stuff just got stale, and the difficulty for me was that because it was so repetitive, it was almost like mind bombing.
My problem was it towards the end, it just seemed like nothing more than an attempt to inflict as much pain on him as that could possibly happen. That's the way that
because I think that if you really wanted to do that to someone like him, if you really wanted to inflict pain on him, you just pretend to be an attractive girl and you tell him to do loads of weird, painful things for your pleasure, and he'll do it. Like, stick a drawing pin in your head, Lorne. That turns me on. I'm like, oh, all right, you're a hot girl, I'll do it.
Yeah, but that's too far, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Shit, I shouldn't give people ideas or anything. Don't do this.
No, but I just didn't like when it started going nuts, and it was like, oh, what can we do to wind him up even more? Let's create this character and let's do this and let's pretend that he's getting therapy, and some of it was great, as we know. It was
the therapist stuff was. I mean, the thing is, when he got angry, that was when it was really at its best, to be honest. Like the telling him about the private investigator and him just not questioning it. Just this private investigator that's filmed this hardcore sex scene between his apparent girlfriend and her doctor.
But to be fair, that's another moment when you realise there's probably not going to be any collateral damage from any of this, because Lorne's world is so superficial that it would seem to have no bearing on any wider implications. So the only thing that will be destroyed is his own fickle layer of bullshit. So when people say, oh, nothing major will happen, he'll not top himself, he'll not do any harm to anybody from all this, I can kind of get it, because his reality is so ridiculous that all that will ever happen from this is his own fickle mind, and I get that. But it's like, I just think that, I suppose my fear is one day he'll get fooled that often that he'll fucking think, oh, I'm sick of all these people having a go, and he'll just go on some kind of mass rampage of things that we don't.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the only thing, and maybe that's just us being pansies. But the one thing
Potentially, we could just be fucking paranoid.
Yeah, one thing I worry about is him just going one day, I saw too much, and running out of his house and becoming the next Elliot Rodger.
Yeah, that's yeah. It's I mean. Yeah.
Imagine, people like Elliot Rodger created themselves, but imagine if you had a hand in
Well, this is the thing, isn't it?
thing.
Someone put it, I think we even mentioned it in the last stream, that when Lorne was doing his own YouTube channel and everybody was going, oh, for fuck's sake, I was, this is ridiculous. Someone just put, we created this monster, and I just thought there's so much truth in that. Not one person. We, as a group of people that are interested in this guy, and we mock him, and I make videos about him, and I've made friends and all that, and we're all, we sort of have got a hand in creating this guy who thinks that he can manipulate this so-called group of people on the internet and make money.
Yeah.
And that's created the ego that is currently Lorne.
Yeah.
So we've all got a hand in it.
Well,
some more than others. In other words, the people that influence his day-to-day life on a daily basis, they've got more of a hand in it. People like me who make videos about it, and I believe his parole officer subscribes to my channel.
Yeah, well, he's mentioned you. Yeah, he says you're a little bitch.
Yeah, so he knows about my fucking videos, and I make videos about him, and I've always questioned it. I'm thinking, is it the right thing to do? Am I being horrible? Am I being mean?
Well, I think you are. There was comedy in them, or I wouldn't have watched them in the first place. So yeah, you must. Yeah,
but you can't do video. Of course, there was. You can't do videos about him and not laugh because it's very fucking funny.
Well, true. So it's just taking. In fact, probably anything anyone's done to him since he's been out of prison, it's not as bad as what happened with TCAP anyway, is it? But it's just he did a much worse crime. I wonder if people have ever tried to see if he would talk to. I don't think he would be too scared to even attempt to speak to another underage person.
That's another interesting hypothetical question. I agree. I think that he's kind of learned his lesson in a way, that don't go down that avenue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he'd never. But I don't know though. I think if the right circumstances presented itself, if he knew he could get away with it 100%, there's no way he could ever get caught, and that perfect reality had been created for him, I think he'd try it again, in my opinion.
Well, yeah.
But that'll never happen. That'll never happen though. It's like what I said. If we hadn't, did we say on the last stream, that if all these people hadn't fascinated over him, that he might have even got caught on Hanson versus Predator.
Oh yeah,
that was fucking funny. Can you imagine if we were the ones that stopped him from getting caught on it?
I don't. I think it's unlikely. I think Lorne probably, even though I don't think he got bummed in prison. I think he was kept in the nonsense wing.
I don't think he got.
No, well, if he did, he probably had more sex in prison than he ever had outside of prison. But
wouldn't that be weird if? Yeah. Let's not go down that route. Well, I wonder what his journals say. Do you know, like, we was trying to get hold of his journals from prison, and I offered to buy them off him.
He's like, Rico pumped me in the arse again last night. I wish you would stop.
He kept saying that, why don't you have blonde hair?
He had his hand on my bald patch and was shouting, why don't you have blonde hair? And when he ejaculated, he went, hey girl.
Oh, fucking hell.
And,
wow.
Yeah.
That's probably what he said when he'd done.
So yeah. Maybe the journals would have been the key to that, but no, I think he was kept in the secluded nonces wing. Just him and the other nonces.
He never really. We don't really know much. He did 5 years. He did 5 years in prison, which is a long
Oh,
time.
wow. John Bunky Jones has just pointed out that lighthouse keepers apparently don't exist in America. I didn't know that was true, because I believe we still have them in the UK.
Okay.
That's the job Lorne
I
thinks
know.
he's getting.
I know. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I thought.
The more I see is that there's some little things in those new calls which are really nice as well, which I've really enjoyed. Like when Paul says, "What's gross with that?" It's a lovely little reference to.
There's always got to be the odd other.
Is that
little...
Jeff Stacey or Dustin McFetridge? What's wrong with that?
That's Stacey.
Jeff Stacey, yeah. But he says, "What's gross with that?"
There's always a few other teacup throwbacks in there, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's some. It's quite interesting to see how much of this he'll believe, and of course, the assistant is called Marsha Mathers. It's going to be lost on you, isn't it, Andy?
Go on.
It's someone we talked about earlier today when I was talking about rap music, who goes by a very similar name. Come on.
Eminem?
Yeah. Marshall
Right.
Mathers. And
Yeah.
someone's phoning him up saying, "My name's Marsha Mathers." Marsha L. Mathers.
But Lorne probably wouldn't even know that, would he? You know, I don't think his musical tastes go that far, does he?
Do you think everyone knows Eminem?
I know, but he probably doesn't know. If you'd asked Lorne, why is Eminem called Eminem, he probably wouldn't even know, would he? Do you know what I mean? I just get the impression that he's not that kind of knowledgeable about other musical genres that he's not interested in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well. I don't know, but everyone must have owned the Marshall Mathers LP.
I haven't.
Haven't you?
I don't.
Everyone I knew owned that
I don't
album.
like him.
But that was like his album. That kind of got me into rap, to be honest.
I don't like listening to fucking angry rants in music. It's just fucking.
But it was
pointless.
actually very comedic if you listen to it.
If I wanna
you enjoyed the Doc Brown stuff I played you last night.
Yeah, but that is comedic though. That's supposed to be comedy. If I want comedy, I'm not going to listen to music. I'm going to fucking I'm going to put The Simpsons on. Not listen to music.
Musical comedy is one of my favourite things in the world.
I can't really. If you love that, that's great.
Yeah.
But
A Lonely Island.
When I listen to music, I
Flight
want
of
to
the
listen to music,
Conchords.
not fucking. If I want to laugh, I'll put The Simpsons on.
Oh, but you've never watched Flight of the Conchords, have you?
Probably not.
See, that's like a sitcom, but it's got musical bits in it, and it's amazing. The hip hoppopotamus versus the rhinoceros. That's a track you need to hear.
That sounds mint. I can't knock other people's interests, apart from the fact that mine are right and everybody else's are wrong.
Well, right. Do you want one more drink? A little bit more stream?
Yeah, we'll do. We can't do much longer because
no, I have to
we've got
take
an early start.
Andy to the airport in the morning, and I need to sleep. Yes, see, 87 loves Lonely Island. And have you seen the film Popstar Never Stop, Never Stopping? It's so good, which is the Lonely Island guys. Anyway, Andy, you can talk about some pedos.
That won't be difficult.
Or
What?
I was going to
Oh no, I've still got.
I was going to say talk about some pedos or your favourite children, but I thought it might sound a bit wrong, but it's too late now.
Never mind. You just blurted it out. But, yeah, I think I've still got a full glass anyway.
All right.
But yeah, no, guys, for anybody that's listening that listens to my stuff, I was going to do a video at some point about exploring the context of Lorne's crimes, because I kind of get why he can't wrap his head around it. In other words, all he will see, because I've read a bit of his lawsuits that were in some of the videos I did a couple of weeks ago, I've started to understand his it sounds like I'm sticking up for him. I'm not. But what I mean is, I'm kind of able to see the way he was looking at it. He can't see himself as bad. You can't see himself as being mentally unbalanced. He can't do that. That's not the level he's operating on. So he thinks of himself as a victim in everything. He was taken advantage of. So because there was never a real person there, and it was a sting operation, it makes it even harder for him to grasp that he did anything wrong. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the kind of.
Well, yeah, he can't,
wanted to explore
because he never actually did the crime.
He never
got
but
punished
if
for.
there'd have been let's just say there'd have been a real person there that he'd been talking to, and he'd got caught in some other way, like that kid's parents would have set him up, it would have been totally different. But because there was never a real girl there anyway, it's even harder for him to grasp that he did anything wrong, because he can't view himself as being not well. But we all look at it and we know that someone that gets involved in that, they're very, very sick. It's another way of putting it. You can't engage in that kind of conversation with someone that you believe is that age. Say you're going to love them and do that.
I don't think without the chat log. The chat log is what gives essence to the whole Lorne saga. Like, if he just had that segment on TCAP and it had been like a 2-page chat log, like, I'm going to come fuck you, turn up, he would not been in the same position he is now. He wouldn't have been interested. People might have gone, oh, what a pathetic. I don't think he would have had this. He wouldn't have been the same type of person that he is, though. That's the trouble. Like, someone that just turns up and goes, oh, I'm going to fuck this kid. Like, someone that just turns up and does that, they're not thinking. Like, Lorne thought he was in a relationship. As disgusting and horrible as that whole chat log is, he thought when he's crying, I personally believe that's for his lost love. When he starts crying in front of Chris Hansen.
Really?
Well, I think not all of it. Part of it is for him, and obviously that would fit with his narcissistic personality, that he's crying because he realises he's in a lot of trouble. But at that point, he doesn't know how much trouble he's actually in. He's just crying because he feels sorry for himself, but also because he thinks he's lost something he had. Without that chat log, Lorne would be a nobody. If he'd turn up, and even if he'd cried like that, people would go, oh, what a sad case, and that would have been it. The reason that he's such a study of human interest is because of that 400-page chat log.
But that in itself is the reason he was there, because if there hadn't have been the nature of that chat log, the whole segment on TCAP wouldn't have been appealing, because he wouldn't have said, I wish I could marry you right now, because I would do it. All that stuff wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been him in that state of mind. He wouldn't have confessed his undying love and bought into this ridiculous fake romance that thought it was going to cure him. Do you get what I mean? It's like it all goes hand in hand with each part, doesn't it? You can't have one without the other. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like when we spoke to Bass Sharman, and he said that it was the level. It was the part of the chat which was more, how did this guy think? You knew from the words that he wrote that he believed he loved her.
Yeah.
And that was you could even tell that from the segment in TCAP, because no one else had ever really gone down that road before, had they? No one had really. It was all for most of them, just get their end away, just have sex with her.
Instant gratification.
Yeah. But with him, it was more than that. You know, it was like he was quite content to come home from his crappy job that he hated and get his cock out on camera and say all that shit. Like, that was kind of, he could carry on with that forever, couldn't he?
That's it, but then you forget that he was sitting there saying all this stuff with his knob out for everyone for everyone to see. Everyone in the perverted justice offices, headquarters.
And that's
what makes
it so funny that he'd go apeshit at that poor fella for seeing naked pictures of him, because does he not, like, his naked pictures he threw around on the internet.
Yeah, but I think it is a bit more, it would feel a little bit more violating though when a man starts telling you he's masturbating over you.
Yeah,
That was fucking
weird. Does Lorne express a concern about the legality of meeting Kayla or the police? Only at the only because of getting caught. I don't think there's any real. He never thought he was doing anything wrong, so he was never asked about legality of it, morale wise. But he was always concerned. There was a little concern here and there that he might get caught, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He wanted to park his truck away from the house and stuff, didn't he?
But when he walked into the house, though, there was not even a hint of like. Fear. It was like he'd accomplished his goal and he was home.
Yeah, well, I think he thought he was home and dry. Yeah.
It's bizarre to think that he's so cocky, and he thought that he'd nailed it, but little did he know that every step he was taking was being recorded, and then for us people to fucking look at 10 years later. It's just, it's fucked up to think that we're doing this now, talking about that happened that time ago, that he thought he was getting away with it. It's so funny. Oh, fuck me. But it's like part of the reason why I don't quite understand how we can still put a brave face on with any of it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Because it's like...
But that's the narcissism and the ego, isn't it?
It is, that's exactly it, yeah.
It's like, just a very... I would argue that Lorne is on some kind of unknown spectrum.
Yeah, he's got Lorne condition.
Yeah, Lorneria.
Yeah, there's only him that suffers from it. It's like he's his own creature. That it couldn't have happened to anybody else. You know what I mean? It's just the level of...
No, it couldn't, and that's where you can draw a comparison with, say, Chris Chan. And I mean, making comparisons never really helps, but what's happened to Lorne has been a lot less damaging than what's been done to Chris Chan, who you could make a much stronger case for didn't deserve it. He was just a bit of a knob that people went really far with, whereas Lorne has done something really bad and then proven afterwards to be a knob.
Yeah, because it's like when we had Dan on the other day, Heisenberg White, and we were talking about it with him, and Lorne, the thing is with Lorne, he's always had the opportunity to do the right thing, and he never does.
No, he never will, though. He'll always do the most selfish...
Yeah, because it's easier. In the short term, it's the easiest path to take that he always chooses. He doesn't seem to understand that you have to put yourself through hard work and pain and sometimes even suffering to get to a place where he's not grasped that part of life yet, that the harder route is the better route, and he always takes the easiest path.
But Lorne is all talk as well, and that's the funny thing about Lorne. Like, he can't back anything he says up, like, you won't believe how much I studied when I was in prison. It's like, well, how much did you study in prison, Lorne? Because it's not like you've come out with a degree or something, is it? Like, you've read a few books in prison. Like fucking Roger Redhat or something. And you've gone,
Roger Redhat.
And you've gone, right, I know about the world now. And like, you know, I might be a hillbilly, but I'm a smart hillbilly. Like, he says these things, but he doesn't have anything to back them up with. My cousin's an investigator for the FBI. Like,
no,
it's like
right.
a kid just making, my brother's bigger than yours.
No, but
my dad's bigger than yours. He's gonna deck you.
It's the same level of immaturity that he's stuck at, isn't it?
Yeah, playground mentality.
Yeah. Shouting
and screaming will win the argument. And you would think after spending 5 years in prison, he must have actually had a lot of time to do some thinking. You'd think you'd come to some kind of conclusions.
It's hard to... This is why I was so interested in seeing these journals, because I get the impression that he would have wrote down in detail everything that he was feeling, because the lawsuits, if you take time to read what he wrote, it's rather incredible as a piece of. It's not fiction. Well, it is fiction.
But there's all sorts of stuff in there. Someone said a comment, so I haven't seen it myself to back it up, but I don't dispute it. That in one of his lawsuits he said he went to the Sting House unintentionally.
I don't remember it being worded like that, but I think that's another way of saying he never meant to do it. Because what it meant, that whole line of "I never meant to do it," not only was it a ridiculous thing to say in a police interview, you'd think that was just a bit of a desperate thing to say, but he actually still maintains that he never meant to do it. To say that you never meant to do it is like unintentionally going to the house. It's like by accident you just happen to be there.
But not all of it was premeditated. There's nothing that wasn't premeditated in the whole thing.
It's like he had an hour. We drove there for an hour, and at no point did he.
That's why the phrase unintentionally, or I didn't even mean to do it, seems so weird. 'Cause it's like, well, what other reason were you there? It was just absolute coincidence. I mean, it would have been funnier if Lorne had gone down a John Pierre Wary route and been like, well, I was driving in my truck and this Mexican pulled me over and told me I need to come in this house.
I was just on my way to the beach.
Yeah. I was just getting something to eat.
We spoke about that as if you were like, if he was on the way to the beach and you just happened to like walk into a roundabout and sit there at the table and just start munching on cookies.
Whenever I go for a day on the beach, I just try a few doors on the roads down there.
Just sit down.
And then I just walk in the kitchen. If they've got some cookies out, I'll just help myself. Yeah.
Like Goldilocks, isn't it? Just randomly fucking sit there.
Oh, wouldn't that have been great if they'd left, like, when the Predator came in, they just left out 3 bowls of porridge.
This one's just right.
And then someone pops out and goes, that's the 13-year-old porridge!
And then the police turn up straight away and lock him up. Oh my god. Oh, fuck me. No, yeah, I didn't mean that.
No, well.
No, but that's that whole kind of I never meant to do it type thing. The thing is, I'd love to be able to delve into his mind for a minute and know what his thought processes are when he keeps saying that. What do you mean you never meant to do it? It was a total accident.
Yeah.
That's what a kid says when he's at the table with his family in the morning and he accidentally knocks the milk bottle over with his elbow.
I didn't
never
mean
meant to do it.
it.
It wasn't my intention to do that.
Wait,
So-
also, didn't Bart Simpson have a very similar catchphrase?
He was like,
It wasn't
I didn't
me.
do it.
I didn't
No,
do it.
I didn't do it.
It wasn't me.
It's the I didn't do it, boy.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
That's
Lorne's
the I didn't do it boy of Predators.
I never meant to do it, boy.
Lorne thought that's it.
I never meant to do it. Do. I never meant to do it. Do. I never meant to do it.
And then he just runs out of the house. And everyone's like, that's all right. He never meant to do it. And then the laugh track starts.
It's that bit on The Simpsons, isn't it, where... Oh, no, it's that Garbo... Oh, I'm getting mixed up now. The bit where he goes, but as Garbo would say, I'm a bad little boy. But that's... Sorry, totally different. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I
All right,
said
get it.
something about you and a boy.
Well...
As
Garbo would say, I'm a bad little boy. Never mind.
No.
Yeah. Gabbo! Gabbo!
Right.
Gabbo!
Yeah, that's enough of that now.
Smithers, Gabbo is coming.
Oh, I remember the bear episode, the bear that you lost, Mr. Burns.
Boo-boo, my beautiful
Boo-boo, yeah.
boo-boo.
I lost my bear, my childhood bear. One day when I'm really rich, I'm going to find him just like Mr. Burns did.
The bear. That's one of the best Simpsons episodes ever, that.
Yeah.
The bear one, the Mr. Burns bear. But,
Right.
if we could, right?
Right, do you have much more to say on Lorna? We could, what? We could,
I was going to ask you a question then, but you've kind of like, bring back Sheriff Lobo. No, do we have any parting comments on Lorne? Because this is supposed to be like one of the last ones we ever do on this channel.
Yeah. But I might still appear in some of Andy's videos. And...
Do we kind of not feel sorry for him, but we wish him enlightenment, don't we? Because if he was healed, there'd be no danger to anyone, would there? But we don't, you know, everybody's got to get to that path in life where they reach enlightenment, and he's not getting there, is it?
Well, no, but I think we wish that on everyone. I think just a bit more of an understanding of the world and the fact that he's a complete retard. But no, I mean, if I keep getting entertainment, to be honest, I'm going to listen to it. I'm just going to not commentate on it as much.
Yeah, we don't want to get labelled hypocrites again, do we?
Exactly.
But
I'm still, I mean, I still wait on tenterhooks for every new call that's
released. It's true, really. I'm not going to make any content about the new stuff, but I'm only human. If I hear that stuff, I'm going to fucking listen to it because it's funny.
Well, I've enjoyed this new stuff a lot.
It is funny. You can't say it isn't. You know, it's just, there's no point in me sitting here saying, yeah, it's fucking wrong, it's bollocks, it's not funny. It is funny. Yeah. You know, I'm not lying.
I mean, it's like we found our own pedo David Brent, and we keep getting more and more seasons of this show.
That's true, isn't it? It's like, what season are we up to now? We have like the first album, which is always the best, which was Teacup.
Difficult second album.
Yeah, and then the second album's like Lornography as a whole, and then the third album was probably like, you know, the Crank Cinema stuff, and then there was the Ramona stuff, and it just goes on and on and on, doesn't it?
Yeah. Right, guys. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining me, Andy.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Yes. Right, take care, everyone. Thanks very much. And remember to hit the like button if you've enjoyed this. If not, just don't hit anything. Thanks. Bye.